Hello, everyone. It's another Thursday, and here I am with Safe Space Conversations. I'm always excited to have these conversations with you for our lunchtime power up 30 minutes. Now, we're in the season of spring, and spring cleaning doesn't just mean that we Marie Kondo our house. No, now is a great time for us to reflect on the people who may be inside of our lives, who are either inspiring us, motivating us, or cheering us along, or who may be sapping our energy and adding mental clutter while no longer providing value to our lives. Let's just be real, friends. Let's just be real. People come into our lives for different reasons and for different seasons. Not everyone that comes into our lives for permanency, not permanent residency. Sometimes they come to help us through a season. Sometimes we're in their lives to help them through the season that they're in. Some of them become lifetime seasons that we get to enjoy with those people. But we have to get to the place where we understand that not everyone has a permanent residency in our lives. Well, I'm Coach Duquessidine, and today on Safe Space Conversations, we're talking all about identifying toxic people and setting healthy boundaries at work and beyond. Now, after coaching women for well over 20 years, I'm proud to say that women are becoming more and more courageous, and I dare even say liberated. They are defining what success means to them and aligning their values accordingly. They are becoming more woke. And I do know the definition of woke. Woke is coming into an awareness of what they truly want, what they truly believe, what values they hold near and dear to them, and what things no longer add value to their lives, or what things they no longer want to have as a part of their belief systems. Women nowadays can fulfill many roles, multiple roles simultaneously actually, and we get to define what success really looks like for us. It's always a great thing to witness my sister friends and clients transform from living their lives in overwhelm. When we live in overwhelm, it is such an unhappy and even stressful existence. But when we take ownership of our lives, when we start to plot the direction that we want our lives to go in, we feel some of the weight of the burden of life lifted off of our shoulders. Because when we sit in overwhelm, it can manifest in many different ways. And one way that we allow ourselves to become overwhelmed in life is by having insufficient or no boundaries. Happy Thursday, Neela. How are you doing today? Yes, we do not want any energy vampires in our life at all. I am so appreciative of you being here today again. And so we have to believe, Neela, and everybody else that's watching. And I know, Neela, you set a great example of this, is that we have to believe we have the power to direct our lives the way we truly want them to go. It means that we have to make difficult decisions at times because decisions are really what direct our destinies. And that those decisions will ultimately lead us to, or it could possibly lead us away from the life that we really want to live. So, to begin to create boundaries for our lives, we have to be so grounded in who we are, what our values are, what our beliefs are, and what the vision is that we hold for our lives. Because when we stand on that solid foundation of who we are, we find the courage then to stop living in overwhelm and start taking ownership of our lives, our goals, and our dreams. As you watch live or even on the replay, and anything that I share today resonates with you, please let me know. Please help deepen this conversation with your thoughts and feedback by dropping whatever you think in the comment field below. So now let's get started. Because as corporate women, we truly carry a lot on our plates. And it's for this reason that it's vital that we reflect on who is in our circle and that we focus on building and cultivating community. And that we focus on building our community with care. Because choosing the right people in our lives is how it all starts. And it helps us to understand our needs and help us to also define what our boundaries are. So let's redefine boundaries because in her book, Boundary Boss, Terry Cole said that there are 6 different types of boundaries that people can set to protect their well being and achieve their goals. And I want to share those 6 types of boundaries with you. Now, this is Terry Cole in her book, Boundary Boss. The first boundary is a physical boundary. These are boundaries that refer to our personal space, physical touch, physical possessions, and setting physical boundaries can really help us to feel safe and respected in our environment. I love my home. I love the tranquility and peace that I find in my physical home. And it is for that reason that I am very careful who I invite to share in the intimacy of my private space at home. So your physical personal space is a boundary that you can establish. Who do you want to visit you there? What sorts of activities do you want to happen in that particular location? So, physical boundaries is the first one. The second one is emotional boundaries. Hello there, Jackie. How are you? So nice to see you. Hi, Ebony. Hello, Stephanie. And so let's just talk about those emotional boundaries. And these emotional boundaries refer to our feelings, our thoughts, and our beliefs. And so our emotional boundaries are designed to help us protect our emotional well being and prevent other people from imposing their feelings and their beliefs on us. This is why it is super important as corporate women and as women that carry multiple or perform multiple roles that we know who we are because our emotions should be grounded to who we say that we are. And once we know who we are, we now can set the proper boundaries for our emotional well being. And I'm going to talk a little bit deeper about this because a lot of times the emotional and mental boundary is one that we can do better at protecting. The third boundary is our time boundary. And this is how well we manage our time and how we prioritize all of the things that we need to do in any given week, any given month, any given day. Setting boundaries can help us to feel a little bit more balanced at work and even at home, even though we never really get to achieve balance by using a calendar, by establishing priority tasks and times. We're now able to avoid being overwhelmed and stressed. We're now able to say, unfortunately, my time does not permit. Or we can say, this activity with my family is important, so I'm going to carve a time boundary on my calendar and block that time so that I can focus on my number one priority. So, setting those boundaries with your time will help you manage them. And as women, I believe sometimes we have a problem saying no. Like we're nurturers, we like to we like to help other people because really we've been taught to be selfless. But we're not protecting our yes by saying no enough. And so we're committing to serving, we're committing to working overtime, we're committing to taking on additional responsibilities at work, we're committing to doing things for other people, even though we don't have sufficient time to accomplish all of these tasks. The fourth boundary is material boundary. And a material boundary really refers to your money, your resources, and your material possessions. Sis and bro, let me tell you, in my personal life, if a friend or colleague or someone asks me for a loan, I see that as a giveaway. Because oftentimes when we give loans, we very rarely get our money back. And so for me, I have a boundary on how much money in a given month I'm able to loan because I know I won't get it back more often than not. And also how much of my material boundaries I have dedicated for tithing or for community service or even working on a project. And this allows me to make sure that I can protect and manage my finances and avoid feeling exploited and taken advantage of by other people. The next boundary is the energy boundary. An energy boundary really refers to how you manage your energy. and avoid energy drains. For me, that looks like my morning meditation. It is non negotiable. For me, it could be an evening where I'm sitting listening to music and it's my Sunday bubble bath. It is non negotiable because that self care is so important. The rejuvenation of my mind, my body, my spirit, and my soul is just non negotiable. And so there is a boundary for my energy. The final boundary is a communication boundary. And this boundary is one, how we communicate with other people, but also what we're willing to share and how we allow other people to communicate with us. What does respectful communication look like? What does effective communication look like? Because let's just be real 100%. People treat us and talk to us the way that they do because it's what we have allowed. Perhaps we have not allowed or taught people how to respectfully talk to us and address us. Hey, Jackie, I want to say hi to Ebony, Stephanie. Hey, Neil, I see you saying yes. Yes, thank you for watching from New York, Stephanie. And hi, Andrea. Nice to have you here. And so those are the boundaries that have been defined by Terry in her book, Boundary Boss. If you're looking for something to read, I encourage you to grab the book so that you can learn more about how to create proper boundaries in your life. Now, let's talk about how we identify toxic people and how we can set healthy boundaries at work and beyond. Because it's essential to recognize toxic people. It is essential to recognize toxic people. And then, when we do, set our boundaries to protect our well being, but not just our well being, our career growth. Because if we allow toxic people to trigger us and we're not so grounded in who we are, we're still developing a proactive versus a reactive response. We may show up in our work atmosphere in ways that we don't necessarily want to. And so it's important for us to know who we are again and how toxic people can set us off. The first step to identify toxic people in your professional or personal life is to notice the negativity that you feel. What do I mean by that? Toxic people are often negative and critical. They literally drain you of your energy. And they don't have to say a word to you, you know. If they are in your atmosphere and they're impacting the atmosphere and making the atmosphere negative, then they're also negatively impacting you. And so if you leave a conversation and you feel depleted on a consistent basis because they're not hearing you, they're not open to listening to you, they're bullying you and aggressive with only what they want to say and contribute to the conversation, if they are attacking you, if they're making you feel that your voice has no value and you must be quiet, then consider reducing the amount of impact that you have with them directly. The second thing to identifying people and setting healthy boundaries at work and beyond is to know your limits. At what point do you need to walk away? At what point do you recognize that you are at your limit and you need to walk away so that you do not act outside of your values? So just be clear about what those behaviors are. What are the behaviors that you find unacceptable? And what do you need to feel respected and valued? And when someone is disrespecting you, you have the power and the right to say that I'm at my limit and I need to take a break. Can we come back to this conversation at 3 o'clock today? Perhaps we can pick this conversation up tomorrow, which will allow you to, I call it come down, but to put some space and distance between you and the negativity so that you don't respond in a reactive way, but actually have the time to think about what is being said and how you want to respond. The third thing is to communicate effectively. Now, ladies and gents, I have some renovations happening at the house, so if you hear a little noise, please forgive that today. Communicating effectively means that we are not only opening our mouths and speaking to other people, but we also are being respectful, because to get respect, we really should give respect. So we're being assertive in what we need to say, but we're not being aggressive. There is a difference between assertion and aggression. Effective communication is also making sure that people understand what you've said. And as a communicator, it's important to know that people's perception of what you say is their reality. So that means the way that they interpret what you've said, which could be your words, your body language, and your tone, is what they will respond to. As a matter of fact, in the communication model, 55% of the way that we communicate is through our body language. As you can see, I'm using my hands. I am gesturing with appropriate number signals. There's you can hear the tone in my voice. All of these things help to make communication effective. One of the most powerful ways that we can be sure that people understand what we have said is by asking them to repeat what they heard. Sometimes you would be amazed at what people heard because it's in contrast to what you actually said. By doing this, we avoid creating conflict by having a team member execute an instruction based on their perception versus what we actually said. And I know you may be saying, well, Douglas, it's their responsibility to ask for clarification. But communication is indeed a two-way street. However, as a team leader, as somebody communicating, it's also good to understand that not everybody completely grasps the concept of communication, and some people are not comfortable asking questions. So, if we want to make sure that we avoid arguments and animosity, one of the ways that we can do that is by ensuring that we ask people to repeat what they've heard us say. So we can be assertive, we can clearly identify what our expectations and our boundaries are without being rude or aggressive. The fourth way to identify toxic people and set healthy boundaries at work is to say no when necessary. Now, I'm going to be real with you. There was a time in my life when saying no was difficult. Now, I don't know if anybody else has been there, but I know that I've been at the place where saying no is hard. And saying no was hard because I wanted to please my boss. Saying no was hard because I was results oriented and I wanted to climb the corporate ladder. Saying no was hard because I was afraid that they may judge me compared to my male counterparts who didn't have home responsibilities in the same way and it would work against me at work. And so saying no was really hard for me many years ago. That was then. I'm okay with my no now because I understand that my no is necessary to not only protect my yes, but to make sure that there is a boundary line in place. And it's okay to decline to do non essential tasks. It's okay to decline to do something when you really know that one, you don't have the capacity, two, you don't have the time, and three, you don't even have the desire to do that thing. If you are invited to a social event and you really don't feel like going to that event, it's okay to say no. If you're being asked to do things that don't align with your values or your goals, it's okay to say no. As a matter of fact, practice saying no right now by typing no in the chat. No is a complete sentence in and of itself. And one of the things that I recognize about women is that we often begin to describe or explain why we're saying no as if we don't have that right to say no. You can say no without explanation, actually, right? So I just want you to begin to get comfortable using that word. And if the word no is too strong, not at this time, I'm not available. There are other ways that we can decline to do things. And I can tell you that there was a time, and this is why it's super important for us to heal the trauma that we deal with. And some of this trauma comes from so far in the past, directly back to our childhood. And I remember when I was taking care of my mom, when my mom had her first round of treatment for cancer. And I vividly remember going to my mom's house every morning to give her breakfast, back going to do lunch, back going to do dinner, back going to clean up and do laundry and clean the house or whatever was needed. And I said yes from a place of guilt. I'm just going to be real and honest with you. I said yes from a place of guilt because as a Caribbean child, we've been taught that we ought to take care of our parents and that it was the female's job in the family to do so. And so my brother didn't have as much of the responsibility, not because he couldn't do it, but because I had already been taught that I had to do it. And if I didn't do it, I felt guilty. So we have to learn that there is responsibility that can be shared when we're taking care of our home, when we're taking care of ailing parents, when we're taking care of other responsibilities. And there's nothing wrong, and there's no gender basis for saying why a woman should do a particular thing. It's no reason why a man can't wash the dishes if you have a partner in your home. There's no reason why he can't sweep the floor. So those roles and responsibilities that some of us have been brainwashed into believing that it's only something that a woman should do are really part of the reason why we are not saying no. We have been taught that it's wrong to say no. The fifth and final key that I want to give you about how to identify toxic people, but then also create these boundaries, is to focus on positive relationships. I watched a bit of a TED talk yesterday, and one of the things the lady was talking about was how they watched for 7 years the lives of a group of people, and the top two factors in what made them live longer was one, social integration, which means that they were going out, having conversations with people, touching people socially every single day. And secondly, the second thing was those intimate relationships were being cultivated with their best friends, their inner circle, their family members. We were born for community. And that's why it's important for us to focus on surrounding ourselves with positive and supportive people who encourage us to grow and to succeed. If you have people in your circle who are not holding you accountable, I want to ask you to question yourself and ask yourself, what is it that's keeping you back from having people in your life that will call you out when you know that you're doing the wrong thing, and that will encourage you to stop playing small in a world that is limitless because you have gifts and talents that go beyond what you are currently doing. When we are uncomfortable with people correcting us, it means that we also have some healing to do. So you want to cultivate relationships with people who want you to grow, who want you to succeed, and who want to make sure that you're not becoming stagnant in life. So invest your time and energy in building relationships that actually lift you up. For the entire year 2023, I've been talking about cultivating community, that we're better together, that community is where it's at. And so once you have started to cultivate your community, it's super important for you to begin to let go of the toxic people in your community and also begin to set those healthy boundaries as a corporate woman. Building a supportive network of colleagues, of mentors, and of allies can really help in challenging situations and provide you with so much support. The other day, my LinkedIn contact, Neela, actually kept me up one night considering a post that she wrote about planting teams versus adding to your team. And I've always been from the perspective that we add people to our team who are similar with values but different so that we have diversity. And it was like a light bulb when she mentioned this post, that it's great to move teams that have great synergy because they bring that synergy to your organization. Now Neela mentored me in that moment because, I mean, it was a thought that I never actually had and I probably would not have had. And that's the value of sitting in a community of people who are like minded, sitting in a community of people who are forward thinking so that you learn and you grow, sometimes without even knowing that you need this thing. So, I want to give you just a few tips on how you could cultivate community in your professional life. One, start attending networking events and make sure that you contribute. If you go to audio events on LinkedIn, raise your hand to ask a question, share some of those emojis to encourage the speakers. If you go in person, show yourself in the room. Show up in the room and shift the atmosphere. Talk, be personable, be likable. Let people see that you're there. The second thing you can do is join professional associations. I mean, there are associations for everything. So join an association that's connected to something that you're passionate about, or even an association that's connected to your profession. The third thing is to mentor and seek opportunities to mentor other people and to be mentored as well. You can look for people who are 6, 7, 8 steps ahead of you, 20 years ahead of you to have mentor you. We benefit so much from mentorship because one, we get to learn from the experience of other people who've been there, who've done it, who've gone through trial and error, who know the success principles and who know what mistakes can derail us. When we mentor other people, we get to learn from them as well. We're sharing our knowledge. We're helping them plot their dreams and their goals. We're helping them overcome situations, and we're also learning from their situations. And so mentorship is a win-win situation. The fourth thing I encourage you to do is to start building some relationships with your colleagues. Yes, I know your work environment is toxic because let's just be real, a lot of organizations do not focus on building positive work cultures. So, what if you could impact the environment though? You may not be able to change the overall culture of that organization, but you can create small changes in the department that you work in, with the co-workers that you work directly with. So you can take time to get to know them beyond just work related things. Ask about their dog, ask about their kids, ask about their spouses without being invasive. Just build a relationship, encourage them, give a positive word, bring positivity to your work environment, bring an apple for your coworker, bring a chocolate, just do something to build a relationship. And I want to just very quickly tell you about favor because people often say that favor isn't fair. And I'm coming into agreement with that before you today because favor can be cultivated. How do you cultivate favor? Well, if you have a toxic boss, build a relationship. Serve that boss. Get to know that boss. As you start to build that relationship and the boss begins to see you in a different light and begin to open up more opportunities to you because they are now mentoring you, you get access to what you necessarily wouldn't have or may have even been blocked from because you have chosen to drop ego and instead pick up servanthood and serve that person to build a relationship with that person. And so build a relationship with the people in your environment. And then I want to encourage you to join support communities. Support communities are vital. So join a support group of other women in your industry or your workplace. Share experiences and challenges with others so you can feel less isolated and it can provide you with a sense of community. Cultivating community takes time. Setting proper boundaries take time, but it is so worth it because by creating these boundaries, now you're teaching people how they can approach you, what they can say to you, and also helping them to understand the consequences of their actions should they act contrary to what you've established is what is respectful for you as a corporate and career woman, and even outside of your career as a in your personal life. So you want to become an advocate for yourself. What are some of the boundaries that you believe you need to create in life? Go ahead and post it in the chat for me and let me see what areas you are going to improve your boundaries in. Remember, when I started out the conversation, I want to close by sharing those 6 boundary steps with you again. The first one is physical boundaries. This is your personal space, your personal possessions, your personal body. The second is your emotional boundaries, your feelings, your thoughts, and your beliefs. They should be honored and they should be respected. Your time boundaries. How are you managing your time? How are you prioritizing your tasks? How are you using your calendar to make sure that you are prioritizing the important things and not leaving them out? Your material boundaries. This is your money, your resources, Your material possessions, how well are you taking care of them? I'm undergoing a little renovation project right now. But the thing about it, I live in this home that I love, but if I don't take care of it, it's going to deteriorate. And by the time it deteriorates and I get to want to renovate it, it's going to cost me so much more. And so to take care of my material possession means that along the journey of living here, there are things that I can do every year to upkeep it. And that's how we protect the things that we invest our money in. The fifth is our energy boundary. And the sixth and final one is our communication boundaries. I hope you enjoyed our lunchtime conversation today on safe space conversations. As I close, I'd like to remind you, if you feel that you're stuck in any way, in any situation, if you need support with either creating those boundaries, finding a mentor, moving ahead in life, getting off of that rat race and routine living, please avail yourself to any of the products that you know I have available, like the Unstuck Bundle, that's $27, that can build your confidence, help you to move forward with ease instead of overwhelm. And also, we can hop on a coffee chat. There are no costs for coffee chats. Let's get to know each other and see how we can build our relationship moving forward. Take care, guys. Happy Thursday. And if you celebrate Easter like I do, enjoy Easter. Tomorrow is Friday, but thank God Sunday is coming. God bless you all and have a great day. Bye bye.